somebody's
We
post.
are live. I am live, and we're having an off the camera conversation here. I'm having an off the camera conversation, which you just get to join us now if you're on YouTube or X or michaelheath.tv. Hello there. Good morning. This is Matt Rhodes that you see on the screen, on your screen, with me. And Matt, good morning.
Good morning, Michael Heath. How are you? You look
I'm
like
great.
you're very busy there today with all kinds of projects and fun stuff that you're surrounded yourself with. It's awesome.
I love my garage. Most of this stuff behind me is just I just took like 10 minutes and just kind of pinned it all together. And some of it came from my father's house. My father died in 2020, and my mother moved to Florida this year from Maine. So she was in Florida. I moved her back to Maine after 2020. And then she just moved back to Florida. And so when she moved back, all the stuff from my childhood, guess where it ended up? It ended up here at my house. And so some of the
mom's great though. I remember my mom when I was about 27 or so. I don't know. Maybe I was much older. She handed me all my Micronauts from when I was a kid. So when I was a kid, I was throwing away all my toys, and my mom was like stashing them in boxes and stuff like that. I was ready. At a certain age, I was ready to get rid of all my childhood stuff. And, it was, I'm just trying to share out this link real quick with some people that are probably sitting at work and, wanting to get on.
Thanks for doing that. Well, while you're doing it, I'll just point to something here. I just noticed that I can do that. I'm figuring out how to see this right here is a Florida license plate at the top of my finger there.
Okay.
And that's my dad's. And he was a ham radio operator. W1DBD. That was his ham radio call signal. If I weren't such an ADHD nerd, I probably would have accepted his advice to get involved with it. But I couldn't bring myself to sit down long enough to teach myself Morse code. So.
Yeah, my priest in my church down in Florida was a ham radio operator.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to listen to him talk to people, all throughout the country. And there's another guy I know that's over in New Hampshire. He's got a satellite dish the size of your house in the back of his property. He's an old military guy, and he's communicating. He gets the news from like Kuwait, Qatar. Like he literally just tap into their, their networks and stuff like that.
I was just looking. I know somewhere I've got stashed this grocery bag full of postcards. You know that ham radio operators, when they talk to somebody, they send one another postcards. And all of those postcards, I've got a whole big grocery bag full of these postcards from all over the planet. It's so much fun it's so much fun to thumb through them and remember my father. Just a wonderful man. I miss him so much. But anyway, that's why I've got all this paraphernalia back there.
You sound like somebody that's had a healthy childhood and it wasn't filled with a lot of alcoholism and rage, huh? It was. No,
my dad and my mother were very loving toward my brother and me. There were two of us, and no sisters. And God's grace has been so good. God has been so good to me, and I just don't know what to say. I'm just so grateful.
Don't get me wrong. My parents were tough. They were.
Yep.
I used to get up and deliver papers when I was 11 years old because my dad was a hard worker, and I wanted to show him how tough I was too. So I'm delivering papers in the snow in Union City, New Jersey, and he's heading to Hoboken every day, working 13 hours a day. And my mom, one of the first, she was very modern. She was one of the first women to get into computers when they still had key punch.
Wow.
And I think in 68, she was overtaking a class in the Empire State Building, data entry, key punch. Yep. And the company was originally part of the Duro test. They were the ones that did the light bulbs for the first shuttle launch. But she got stuck in that blackout. I think it was in 68. I don't know if you remember, there was a blackout in New York, and and all the power went out, and people were stuck in elevators for hours. And I don't know if you remember that the birth rate, like 9 months later, went.
I don't. I in 1968, I was 7 years old, 8 years old, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't. I was only a year old, so it was. I don't know what year it was exactly. It was a big blackout in New York, but my mom was taking data entry classes over there, so she was way ahead of her time. She was considered a modern woman, into computers. And remember the key punch cards? You remember what they look like?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't remember them personally, but I, of course, remember hearing about them when I was younger. They had pretty much
use them as scrap,
they had pretty much disappeared by the time I was thinking about computers and stuff, so yeah,
well,
they were
in high school. I was like the rebellious, going, oh no, this is a fad, I'm not going to do this because all the nerds are doing it, so let's pivot to current events. Like Trump is everywhere all the time. This guy is, everybody loves to hate or loves to love Donald Trump, but it's like nobody's in the middle on this guy. And he laps it up. He loves being hated. He loves being loved. I think he likes being loved more than he loves being hated. But that's true.
but regardless, the guy is like a master of drama. He's like the drama queen of the planet. Anyway, your opinion.
Oh, it's true. He's always trying to. I don't know how you say it. He is. He's like kind of like he'll see a pile of poop, and if he has a stick, he'll go, "Oh, I'll just stir that for a little while." He likes to stir stuff up so that people can be distracted, about other things. Somebody posted on Facebook today. They said, "I don't understand why the left doesn't like the president. He has 5 kids, 3 baby mamas, lives in a government housing, and has an immigrant wife, and they still don't like him." And I said, it's weird because MAGA is socially and genetically the same as the left. Unquestionable loyalty to a cult hero, doesn't care about the Constitution, loves socialism and big spending. You're right. The left should love him. Trump, maybe gold teeth, perhaps. That would endear him to the left. Give him some gold teeth. And maybe like some cornrows, and then Trump would be accepted by the left. Maybe get him like a pride shirt because he's really socialist. What?
But maybe there's a silver lining to that. I mean, in that we haven't nuked humanity yet. There's enough nukes around, according to my sources, to destroy the world 100 times over or whatever. And maybe this odd personality of Trump, now he's over there. He's like, I had no idea he was going to do this, but he's over there. He and Z are having a party, right, in China. How does this guy do this? He goes to North Korea and he calls the guy Rocket Man, and he loves him for it, right? I mean, Little Rocket Man, right? Wasn't that what's his name?
Little Rocket Man. Yeah,
Little Rocket. And we haven't nuked ourselves yet. China hasn't launched nukes. Russia's kind of making noise about a new missile they've got that's nuclear, and they're going to vaporize London or something. I don't know, but here we are. We're still talking, man. We're still having a live stream. We haven't been nuked yet. I don't know.
No, it's really funny because, like, I wonder. I've always thought, and you when you were maybe 20 years ago, this would be people would go, "Oh, you're crazy," but isn't it really just 2 cabals kind of fighting over, master control of the machinery of the earth? Like it's this giant bank account where everybody's like in chattel slavery, and they're like, who gets to be in charge of the slaves, the slave class? Like the guy said in that video that you sent me, he's like, well, this is the cheapest form of slavery because they have no overhead. In fact, and I thought that was great. They don't have to pay for our quarters. They don't have to pay for our dirt floor or nothing like that. We actually pay for our own slave quarters, and they love it. So that's
I'm so grateful for my Christianity. I committed my life to Christ when I was 19 years old, and I've embraced my poverty my whole life. I've never been tempted to do clicks and likes online. I've never wanted to be an advertising guru or a marketing genius or a YouTube celebrity. And it's because I'm a Christian. I embrace my poverty. I see suffering as something that Jesus Christ allows into my life so that I can identify with him. He's my hero. None of these people, none of these people are my hero. Jesus Christ is my hero. And he said, look, man, if you want me as your hero, then you got to take up your cross, right? What's a cross? That's like that's the thing you torture people on. You got to take up your cross and you got to follow me every single day. And this whole thing, I'm bemused, to tell you the truth. I'm bemused by what I'm seeing right now with Charlie Kirk, with Trump, with Israel, with Ukraine. I mean, should I be bemused? No, I mean, I'm not callous towards suffering. I hate the suffering of especially of the Gazans and of the Ukrainian young men and women who are in harm's way unnecessarily. Because Russia was going to win this thing from the very beginning. Europe and America have no potential to win that conflict, and that's been the case for a decade or more. It's just, but I look at all of it and I feel like, man, this world is so dramatic because of the super rich.
Oh yeah.
And that's the only reason. And the only other reason it's dramatic is because we pay attention to them.
Right. If we just it is like a little show. Get some popcorn and I want to go back to what you said about suffering. Human suffering is many of the people in the freedom movement, they want freedom because there's an indignity to this idea that, oh, how dare you enslave me and take away my freedom? But that's not the right reason. The right reason is to be free so that you can worship God. But because in salvation, freedom is in Jesus Christ. Even if you live in you're locked in a cage somewhere, your salvation and your freedom comes from Jesus Christ. That's your freedom from sin, right? But Amen. These people don't want to be free from sin. They want to live in their chattel slavery. They just want to be told who their masters are. And I know people have said that before, and it sounds trite, but it's actually true because there's no, they don't have the indignity of somebody saying, hey, you're keeping me from worshiping Jesus Christ the way that I want to, which was, I believe, what made early Christianity so successful and such a a departure from the Roman civilization, which was bread and circuses, and the Christians then said, well, we don't want to have any part of that. We're not interested. We're interested in taking care of each other only. That's all we care about. But I meet a lot of these, am I judging them? Of course I am, because they're Christians. They want an awakening. They want things to be like renewed, and we're going to just one day all like follow Christ and make this giant mega church and hug each other. And it's just nonsense. There's no such thing. It's you just going back to church, living in perfect charity and serving your fellow man. That's it. That's what Christ wanted. He kissed his cross, like you said. He embraced his suffering. These people couldn't live on a farm with each other. They couldn't do it. They don't have the ability because they have no charity at all. So
yeah. But what I see happening is in real life, not so much online, but in real life, we're being forced back. We're being forced to into our neighbor's arms, so to speak. Yeah. And the worse things get, the worse things get economically and politically and all of that, the more we're going to be forced into the arms of those we love and those that we are called by God to care for, which is our neighbors, the ones who live next door. So I'm hopeful. I know God is always going someplace good, and that He's the only entity in the universe who's capable of bringing good out of evil. I heard someone say, I believe in a circular thing, right? The Hegelian dialectic kind of thing. Yeah. Thesis, antithesis. What is it? Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Yeah. And then it just keeps repeating, which is Hegel's idea, the German philosopher Hegel from the 19th century. But Christianity isn't that way. Christianity is linear. There was a creation, right? There was a creation, and there's going to be an end. And in between, history's going someplace good. So it's just the way it is.
And again, I know like there's a lot of, I think the worst thing that could have happened to the so-called freedom movement, I don't know what else to call it, the people that don't want to be told what to do movement is what I like to call it. They entered into it. They're not Christians at all. They haven't found Christ. And so So they have this quasi hippie version of America, and they think that you're required to buy like their useless garbage at the local craft show, because that's some, they get together with the one guy who's a farmer and I've seen the situation where you have one guy who's producing everything, the food and vegetables, and then you have a person like show up with like jewelry made out of noodles and they found on the ground, and so, and twigs or whatever, and they expect that you have to have a product in the world that's coming. You have to have a service you can provide. And I do have friends that are doing this. They're starting real farms, real farms of independence, and you can't have it any other way. And everybody's gonna have a role. So eventually,
the best thing that can happen to us here in Maine is that is that SNAP, is that what it's called? That SNAP, which is snapping away from us tomorrow. Apparently, there's no more SNAP for people, which is the food stamp thing. So I guess it's a federal thing. It comes from the national government, apparently. And starting tomorrow, everybody, like 11% of Mainers, aren't going to be able to buy food tomorrow and the next day. Well, this is good. This is good. This is what's that? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Anyway, I feel like this is good news, especially if we can absorb, if we can take this hit. We can take this hit and not get bloody. I guess there's a lot of people online who are saying that they're going to go into their local grocery store and they're going to steal the food since the government isn't giving them money to pay for it. Come on, people. Come on. Go ahead.
No. It's well, I mean, this is one of those things where you can never really judge the presidency when it's happening because it's current events. You're like right on top of it the whole time. But there are many opportunities for people in this, whatever the liberty movement. I hate all the words they've come up with that. But anyway, so there are opportunities to say no to the federal money. The federal money is going away. Trump's he's whatever that word is, taking the money away. And more of the Democrats are noticing it, and the Republicans have a beautiful opportunity to say, see, this is what happens when you're dependent on federal funds. But you also, but you have the Americans for Prosperity Republicans, and you have the Zionist Republicans. They love all that stuff. They love America as a corporation. But the people that if you are really serious about this, if you seriously want to see change happen in our country, talk to your Democratic neighbor and say, this is what we're trying to tell you about. We don't want to say that states don't have the authority to take care of their own. I mean, it's not always a good idea. We don't want to say no to certain programs at the state level. But this is what happens when the federal government controls everything. This should be an example to you. And I'm telling you, I'm talking to people, Mike, in politics that are Democrats that are starting to see this. But unfortunately, you have the little baby Republicans on the other side going, nanny, nanny, noo. How does it feel like to lose your job? And, you didn't like it when your guy was the king. And it's all like just finger pointing for them. And it's not an opportunity to teach, to be humble in Christ's message of saying, okay, you're right. He shouldn't be acting like a king. You're right. It's terrible that this money is going away. So now what can we do about taking care of ourselves? And that message is something that I've been implanting in everybody I know in New England, everybody. What is our look like with where we rely on each other, and stop making it them or us, because these people are going to starve to death. And, if you don't take care of them, they're going to come to your house and steal your food. Charity is a process.
So the other day I grabbed my wife and we went out to Whitefield, Maine. You know where that is? It's just outside of Augusta. And I'm not a Whitefield native or anything, and I've traveled through there, but it's only about 10 miles from my house. But one of the things, there are a few takeaways. We went there to see if we could find some good food. And to me, good food is not hippie food from a natural food store. Good food comes from the Amish. And I had heard that the Amish were moving into Whitefield. So we went out there and we went looking for the Amish. And we saw them. We drove by an Amish school where there were some young people, some children who were dressed up respectfully. And they were outside playing outside of what looked like a maple sugar shack, but I think that was their schoolroom.
Yeah.
And it was like 2 or 3 doors down from the propaganda mill, main public school, where they have the litter box in the corner, so that if you think you're a cat, you can crap in front of everybody. I guess that place. Maine's public schools are completely in free fall. It's just a nightmare. And both Polly and I were brought to tears as we drove by these children, obviously happy, playing with one another, without any of the benefits of the money, the big money, and the super educated teachers, right? Educated teachers. But the takeaway for me was I didn't find it. I didn't find what I was looking for, and it's like it ought to be there now. What am I looking for? So here's Whitefield. Here's Whitefield. It's got beautiful open landscapes. They haven't stuck windmills and solar panels in all of their pastures yet, but so it's beautiful, and it's obviously farmable land. It's land that you could farm, where you could grow some vegetables, you could grow good food, you could grow good meat. It's not happening yet. But we also drove by a couple hippie places, hippie natural food stores, where I like the way you put it. They pick up stuff off the ground and they make crafts out of it and stuff. Like, come on, people, come on, let's start getting serious about having a pig, especially if you live in Whitefield, Maine, or having a cow, or having a steer in the back 40, and grow some good meat, and don't feed it the hormone crap and the poison stuff, and let's create some good food. Is there something wrong with my head? I don't know.
Well, the Amish haven't gotten to the point, a saturation point yet in Maine, where they are producing enough to take care of their own, and to now lead out into the community to create enough sustenance for the community. They've made it to that level in like places like Pennsylvania, Ohio, but in Maine, most of the communities are new. So what you're going to see,
I'm so glad they're here, Matt. Keep going.
No, well, that's so the thing is, like, we have a community right around the corner in Thorndike, and you can go to their stores. They have some stuff, but not the amount of stuff that they have. Like, there's a community down in Limerick, Maine, and they're Mennonites. So you're going to need like a good amount of Mennonites and a good amount of real Amish till you start seeing this kick off. And
my thing with going out to Whitefield to find the Amish, it doesn't have to do with going there so that I can agree with them theologically or not. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going for good food. I want to find, and the Amish, to me, compared to the hippie natural food culture of, what is it, Mofka and the Common Ground Fair and all that stuff, okay, they're fine. That's good. If that's your cup of tea, then, or I guess it's not tea. It's got to be chai or latte, or I don't. But
it has to have mushrooms. Okay.
But I went for the Amish because I feel like the Amish are going to be focused on good solid proteins that don't include Roundup and hormones and crap. And they're going to be focused on good, solid, old-fashioned vegetables like potatoes and green beans and carrots and whatever. They're not going to have
to. Thorndike, and I'll show you like 5 farms, and they're secret. You have to know where they are.
All right.
You have to go down.
You promise?
The trail.
You promise?
I promise. Yeah. My buddy just took me around. He said, "You don't know these things exist," so he took me down all these little, like, 5.
Right. I love creativity. I love art. That's fine. It's all good. But if I'm thinking about food right now, it's like, let's just keep it simple here, stupid. Let's just keep it simple. I just want good meat, good solid vegetables. I can trust that they've been, like, I went to a meat store. You went to a local place that is better than the grocery store, one of these in-between meat centers, and asked them about it. And they said, well, yeah, we source our meat. Basically what he said was, this is not Bill Gates's meat. This is not manufactured, machine-made meat.
Yeah,
is what he ended up saying, more or less. Because we ended up questioning him, and there's probably hormones in it. There's probably whatever, whatever they do to ruin our meat, ruin our food sources, probably in it. But it's not from your corner Hannaford. It's it's from this guy who's got this little niche meat market. So, and I love the guy, I love the place. We're all having to deal with this stuff. We're all having to sort this stuff out, right? You and I talk often about big corporations. They've completely destroyed our food supply.
Yep.
The government and big corporations have destroyed our food supply. They've destroyed our healthcare system. They've destroyed everything at this point. What's left? You tell me.
I mean, I love your idea. My wife and I have this thing. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of this. It's called the Kingship of Christ. And part of there's a guy by the name of Hugh Aiken. He writes some books about that. There's a bunch of people down there in Florida that are part of the this Kingship of Christ group. I forgot what it's called. Anyway, I don't know if you know, like, what is it, 1929, Pope Pius IX was primus about the restoration of Kingship of Christ. And so what that means is that, like, it's all the stuff we've been talking about. You have to, what I do and what I think Christians should do, this is how I interpret it, is if you see an Amish store or a Mennonite store, you know those people are practicing healthy, good Christian values. You may not agree with them theologically. Doesn't matter. Those are the people you support first. You always support Christians first. If they're providing something that is needed, if they're just in it for, like, the, to get wealthy, and there's, I always go to the Amish and the Mennonites for my food sources first. And my wife one time said to me, she's a Mormon, and she said, well, this stuff costs a lot more money. I said, well, these people are surviving at a sustenance level. So we have to be willing to pay more for Christian products if they're good and honest Christian products, And so, like, for instance, in the church down in Florida that I went to, all the men in the church had a trade. So everybody in the church used those men. That's what's going to take it. I think I mentioned this to you before, but if you see an Amish store, go to it. But and some of the stuff was like they would these guys were really, the Mennonites, they would go and find, like, some outdated kind of stuff that was still sellable, or products that were not famous and companies were just getting rid of it. And it wasn't bad stuff. It was probably like somebody making an effort to make something organic and it failed or something like that. And sometimes you taste it and it would taste terrible, like dry bark or something like that. But I'd say to my wife, this is our donation to a Christian community. Let's go pay $100, $50. We go there. Here you go. They have all the daughters and the young men running around, fixing up, cleaning stuff. So be generous with, your Christian neighbors when it matters, not the Christian guy that's trying to get you to, go with the stuff you need first. Always buy the stuff that you need first, and always pay cash if you can. Although cash isn't king, cash is still a dependency system. The ultimate system would to be in a barter system or scrip. That would be, the Jewish community that I worked with down in Florida, they don't use cash. They know it's valueless. It has no intrinsic value at all.
We've reached the point where everybody acknowledges the most important trade to think about is the debasement trade, because everybody now acknowledges that the dollar is being debased. I'm so glad to see that word entering the vocabulary. It's not inflation. It's not inflation anymore. The American dollar bill is being debased, which means what? It means that every day that passes, that money you saved up for your entire lifetime, which is measured in dollar terms,
right?
So $100, $1,000, $1 million, that is not worth $1 million the next day or the next day. It's being debased. The value is being extracted from it, and so a lot of people around the world are realizing that, and they're starting to consider what it means to live through a period where it's not inflation you're thinking about, it's the debasement of the currency that measures the value of your savings, the value of your labor that you have stored up throughout a lifetime. It's being debased. It's losing its value. It's not about inflation anymore. It's about debasement of the dollar bill. And I'm encouraged by that. So you and I, my friend, are going to be together tomorrow in real life, IRL in real life. We're going to be together, and we're going to be in a car with 3 other Catholic guys dressed in our suits, going to Boston, Massachusetts, so that we can
we're going to go down and get our fair share of abuse, huh? Who knows?
Yeah, Yeah, we're going to stand against baby murder. Life begins at conception, and so anything afterwards is a murder.
Well,
Shame on you.
so obviously the government gives sanction, to one group of people to murder another group of people. This is all it is. I mean, this is clearly what it is. And the entitlement comes from the government saying, yeah, you have permission to kill another human being. I mean,
I love the fact that this is men who are in the lead. Women are allowed, women and children, I believe. It says here, I don't know if they're just going to be at the rally and the men are going to be doing the walking or what, but it says here all women and families are invited to join the men. But the point is, men are in leadership. I love this. I love this. This isn't
like
what's got
a women's haters club. This is just like the Little Rascals. This is good men. This could be. And I'm going to be looking forward to meeting a bunch of these guys.
Good Christian men who want to be Christian. They're willing to be publicly Christian in Boston, Massachusetts, of all places, and they're willing to be publicly Christian, standing against the murder of babies. And I can't wait to be shoulder to shoulder with them on the day one of the apocalypse, right? November 1st.
How much should we be like instigating our friend Paul Maduro on the way down? Should we? He's such a great guy. I'm looking forward to spending some time with him again. He's such a great guy. Paul Maduro will be there. I don't know the other guy that's coming.
I think I might have met him once or twice, but anyway, it'll be good. And there's going to be lots of men there. And we're going to be getting together with one of my favorite groups on earth, Tradition, Family, and Property, during and after the event. I love those young men who wear suits. They've been here to Augusta a couple times next to they go down to the traffic circle and they have this banner that's like 20 feet high. And the Tradition, Family, and Property, 3 great ideas, 3 really, really great ideas. Yeah. And they go in public with flags and suits, men only, young men from colleges around the country, seminaries and colleges. And they take a stand for family values, for marriage, for reason when it comes to human sexuality and pleasure. That's what these young men stand for. And they get spat upon, and they get people run at them with their cars, and people try to punch them and fight with them and everything. And you can go on YouTube, and if you don't believe me, you can go on YouTube, just search for Tradition, Family, and Property. There's all kinds of videos of them being attacked by Christian haters, people who hate Christ and everything he stands for.
It's interesting. Isn't that interesting? To the point is that I remember, you and I are old enough to remember, you're a lot older than me, I should say, so your viewers are aware of that, No, I'm just kidding. I'm messing with you, Mike. But there was a time I remember when Christians were starting to compromise with with these lefties, these people that are for murder and stuff. And I said, you don't understand. The devil is not going to recompromise with you at any point. He only wants to take from you. He only wants to gain ground. And I used to say this all the time. Really surprised that Christians were just going like, okay, the line is here now, and it's okay. But now you have to be aware that this is what
everything's a negotiation now, right? Especially if it has to do.
There's no negotiation with truth. And this is why I can't stand Catholics like debating dogma online. It doesn't make sense. It's dogma. It's the end. We're at the end of the discussion. This is what we believe. If you don't understand it, I could probably explain it to you, but it's not up for debate. Okay. I'm not going to debate the end. We're at the end.
Right. It's like the whole issue of marriage or sex, and you pick your social issue. The conversation doesn't even have to become a debate. No. It's just like you say, it's truth. What is marriage? If you can't understand that marriage is one man, one woman, one lifetime, civil marriage, that's what civil marriage has to be. If you have any interest in building a civilization that's going to last beyond your lifetime, it's obvious in nature. You don't have to read the Bible to come to this conclusion. You could just think logically. You can just think as a human being. You don't even have to be a Christian. One man, one woman, one lifetime creates generational connections based on love, because you end up loving your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren, and you end up passing on the values that belong to you uniquely as a human being made in God's image. That's what Christianity teaches. But even if you're not a Christian, you still know in your heart that you're a human being and that you're not pure evil. You know that in your heart. You know that that's true. And if you want to do the loving and right and good and true and beautiful thing by your wife, by your spouse, by your girlfriend, by whatever, when it comes to sexuality, and especially if you end up coming together and producing a child, then you're going to be concerned about future generations. And you're going to come to the conclusion very rapidly, if you're a thinking person, that marriage matters. Civil marriage matters.
Right.
Does religious?
It's the basis for the perpetuation of any species. So, like you said, in the natural world, right? Enculturation is the perpetuation of the species. That's why we suffer cultural amnesia.
Right, within species, right? You stick within species and you don't have marriage because they're not humans, they're animals. And it's so interesting that we're now at the point where here in Maine, we promote the idea that children, young children, the youngest of children, can think of themselves as a cat, and we're going to celebrate it. The teachers are all going to step back and say, oh, meow, meow, and pet them, right? They're going to pet these little kids, right? These little 6 and 7, your grandchildren, by the way. They're going to pet them and encourage them in their delusion that they're an animal. That's where we are in Maine right now.
Well, I think all of your watchers should be reading Libido Dominandi, because this is like exactly what they wanted. They want to turn you into an animal. And
they're doing it. They're doing it right here in Chelsea, Maine, where I live, at the school that I pay an immense amount of taxes for. Like 70% of my property tax goes to pay these people so that they can pet my grandchildren and pretend that they're a cat.
So if this hasn't created, sorry, we're kind of getting like a short-term signal. Every once in a while, you freeze up on me, Mike, and I guess my signal here at the hotel.
Well, yeah, listen, it's on your end. There's something that's turned on your laptop that's causing it to freeze. So.
I don't know what it is. It's I don't know anything about technology. The other day, somebody asked me what kind of computer I had, and I was like, I have no idea. It turns on when I plug it in, and that's what.
Right.
That's how much I know. I'm like just a little bit past the wheel, maybe fire. I was very happy with those two. The only things I think we really need in civilization are hot showers. I think after that, like I can get away with, that's the only thing. Like I will admit. One fundamental thing, and you can make a hot shower.
So your audio is okay, pretty good, all right. But your video is freezing like every few seconds or whatever.
Oh well, I apologize to your viewers. This is actually how I am. I'm really a hologram, and Mike doesn't have any friends. He just made me up.
Yeah, it works. It works for me. I love technology. I love computers. I love being able to do this with you. Love people more than I love technology. So I'm just glad that we can do this and that I can understand you. I don't care if you freeze up. I think it makes for great, realistic content. Yeah, they can tell that we aren't AI generated, right? They can tell we aren't AI.
Hey, Mike, I wanted to tell you though. I wanted to proselytize a second or two. The best thing that like a good Christian could do is just take some basic anthropology classes, and you'll find that there are universal truths in that branch of science, which is very atheistic, that somehow don't seem to apply to the regular world when there are practical applications. So these anthropologists will go and study a tribe or something like that, and all the things that are true of a successful tribe. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to go back to one thing that we said about, when we buy stuff and jewelry and food and things like that. Jewelry and fancy architecture and culture doesn't happen until the community establishes a wealth where all its basic needs are met. So in other words, there's no time to start drawing, because Jebediah is like building houses for everybody so we don't all die in the wintertime. And so for the natural sciences, it's a complete schizophrenia for them to say that you can't pass on the culture. And so if they know that passing on the culture is key to a civilization success, that's called enculturation, for them to take that away is an admission that they are trying to destroy the culture. You're trying to take whatever is what has ever made that culture successful. You're trying to take it away.
And make no mistake, here in Maine, the Democrats have signed up for the destruction of Maine culture, full stop.
Oh, yeah.
And the Republicans are signed on at just a little bit slower pace. The only difference between the two of them, they're both headed toward the destruction of Maine history, traditions, and culture. They're both headed in that direction. The Republicans just want to get there a little slower than the Democrats. That's where we're at with politics, and that's the truth. That's the absolute truth.
But Republicans don't understand like practical politics, and so they end up compromising with Democrats, trying to say, well, they end up feeding into the same need-based system that the Democrats, so the Democrats have created this weapon, and they've said, we as a government need to be the provider. We need to be the problem solver. We need to promote unity. And the Democrats, the Republicans don't know how to take up that weapon and use it against the Democrats because they don't have a value system because they've compromised for so long. Half of the Republicans are somewhat for abortion. Some of them, or most of them, are for some sort of socialized.
Because of Donald Trump, the highest value in the Republican Party is to be a homosexual, is to be gay, because that's a hero, the victim, right? That whole victim category. Donald Trump loves homosexuality. He thinks it's awesome.
Yeah.
And
that was Charlie Kirk's job. Charlie, did you see the
exactly
presentation by Pastor Truella? Matthew Truella did a whole thing that Turning Points USA, all of these pseudo first of all, the Zionists, their entire job is to destroy Christianity. Real Jews hate Christ. Okay, so let's get that established. People don't want to. They hate the guy that you say is your creator. They hate him. They think Christ is boiling in excrement. So number one. Number two, if any organization does not absolutely adore and worship Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior, then guess what? They hate Jesus Christ. And that was the point of, now we have everybody worshiping Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk had two homosexuals on his speaking platform. Matthew Truella goes into it, and he said the whole purpose of Turning Point USA was to transmutate Christianity, to accept homosexuals. That's the bottom.
And the way they're doing it is brilliant. The way they're doing it is they're making Christians themselves believe that the only form of Christianity that's acceptable when you step into the political arena, or when you step outside of your stained glass fortress, the only sort of Christianity, the only brand of Christianity that's acceptable is the nice one.
Right.
The one that's nice to homosexuals. The one that picks the perfect tone and style and the perfect narrative whenever there's a homosexual in the room. Then you've got to pick the perfect tone, the perfect loving tone. That's Christianity. And if you don't have the perfect...
and I remember talking to a couple of Christians here in Maine, and I said something to them. They said, well, you sound like that because, you must be because you're a Catholic. I said, no, I don't love you less. I'm not going to not pray for you, for crying out loud. But if you ask me something, I'm going to tell you. That's all there is to it. I'm not going to. It's like all these Catholics coming into the faith somebody needs to round them up, like Nick Fuentes, for instance, would be a good one. Is if you're new to the faith and you don't know what you're talking about, you can destroy somebody's entrance.
Nick isn't new. But Nick is so, and I've watched him for years, and I have mixed feelings about the fact that was just on Tucker, and something's going on there that I don't trust with respect to all of the influencers on the internet. And I would encourage you, listener to MSH Live, to be equally questioning about all these influencers and all the drama. I don't care who it is, Candace Owens, any of them that have this immense following. If it's dramatic and it appeals to your emotions, kick into high gear in your brain to reason. make sure that you're not in the emotional space, because with AI and the proven involvement of the intelligence agencies on the internet, especially at Facebook and X and Instagram and YouTube, you had better prioritize your brain, prioritize your thinking, ask tough questions, ask the questions that become obvious to you, ask them, think those questions. And with the people you trust, like your pastor, your priest, whoever it is, when the time is right, ask the questions. Don't become party to all of this propagandizing that's going on that's leading nowhere good. Am I right, Matt, or am I wrong?
If I mean, if Nick Fuentes is talking to Candace Owen, or Candace Owen is talking to Joe Rogan, or there's a reason for this. There's a narrative, a counter, like another avenue of thought that they're trying to get you on. And so, how do I say they'll get you on? It's the Hegelian dialectic is literally, we're going to create conflict because we want to create a third way. So this is what we did. They did with Charlie Kirk. They have a guy who's part of the progressive movement, Convention of States, Term Limits USA. Those are progressives that go back all the way to the 1900s, with beginning with Frank Goodenow. Okay, you can read Politics and Administration. If you really want to understand the progressives, read The Republic by Plato. That'll tell you progressives use both Democrats and Republicans to create the control that they want to have. So there are progressives and Democrats are not the same. Progressives are, I can point them out. I could take your elected officials on your scorecard, all your legislators, and I can say progressive Democrat, progressive, just progressive period. Like Rick Bennett, he's actually a Republican, but he's a progressive Republican. People say, "Oh no, he's really a Democrat." No, he's not a Democrat. He's a progressive Republican. You see,
yes, he is. I agree completely.
Yeah, they're not the same, and people get them all mixed up. They're like, "Oh, well, they're rhinos." No, rhinos are William F. Buckley. We haven't had those in a while. The rhinos are basically Trotskyite socialists. That's what they are, and that's what the Americans for Prosperity are. They are Trotskyite socialists who, that people with them all the time makes no sense. Anyway, we never have enough time in the day to talk. I know I got to get out of this room early, or they're going to charge me for another day. So I'm going to be homeless in a couple minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, all right. So you're not home. You're in a hotel. Okay.
I'm in a hotel. Well, my house doesn't look. I don't decorate my house like that. My house has stuff nailed to the wall, and plaster falling off. So.
So I can let. I can let you go. I can let you go now and I'm going to see you in the morning at 6:45.
Because crazy people get up that early in the morning. Do your listeners know how early you get up in the morning? I think you put in a sprinkler system at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
It was like my you were asking me like about socket wrenches. I'm like, I don't know anything. I don't even know who I am right now. So.
Well, I'm usually up around 3.
I'm kidding. I'm making this all up for your listeners.
So I'm usually up around 3. I'm going to be doing my show tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. So I expect you to be there with your coffee.
5 a.m. Like driving on the phone with my. Oh, you mean at the where? 5 a.m. at the Lewiston address? Is that where we're going?
No. I'm going to be online doing my show, my live stream.
All right. I'm not responsible for anything that I say. Okay, that's all there is to it.
I'm kidding. I know you have to.
Send me the link. I'll get on and we'll talk.
No. I don't. You don't need to be on. I'm just kidding with you. But I'll be looking forward to seeing you in real life tomorrow morning in Lewiston at Paul Medore's house. Be awesome.
Paul Medore's house. All right, brother. I'll see you then. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
So stay on there, everybody. I'm just going to go over some stuff. I'll get rid of Matt, and I'll put this up here. Okay. So this is my website, and I'm super excited about tomorrow morning's 5 o'clock show, and then I'm going to be on at 6 o'clock a.m. on Sunday and 6 o'clock a.m. all of next week. Next week is an important week in Maine. It's our municipal elections on Tuesday. Haven't decided myself whether I'm going to go and vote because I don't trust Senate Bellows and I don't trust the whole process. I think it's just ludicrous the way we the way we do voting in Maine. It's insane and evil. So I just haven't decided yet whether I'm going to take the time to go over there to my town office on Tuesday. The last time I went, I almost got in a fight with the warden or whatever they call themselves, the person who's in charge, because I went to put my ballot in the machine and I quipped loud enough so everybody could hear it that this machine is attached to Chinese Communist Party through that thermostat on the wall over there, and of course they didn't want to hear that, so they were giving me a hard time. But anyway, this is my website, and I wanted to show. So this is my blog articles. I haven't written one recently, but if anything I've said really pisses you off, then maybe you can go to this blog and read some other articles that'll really, really tick you off. So check it out at michaelheath.org. And the thing I really wanted to point out is this. If I click on this donate button up here, it brings up this lovely form that is connected to Stripe, who I hate. Is it Stripe or Stripe? Stripe, I guess it is. I don't know. One of these big tech corporations that like to censor Christian people. But anyway, it's working for me now at this point, and it's very slick for you. It's very easy for you to use. And I do need to raise a little bit of money. I don't pay myself. I just need a little bit of money to pay for subscriptions and some of the hardware and software that I use to do what I'm doing today and what I want to start doing and what I am doing every day now going forward. Also, I wanted to show you this. If you click on this subscribe button up here, you can just put in your email address. It's free, and I don't sell it to anybody, and you can unsubscribe for free, and it's very easy. I don't push anything. I'm not about marketing or advertising or pushing anybody anywhere. If you want to get a daily email from me that highlights 3 issues that I'm thinking about that day or whatever, then you can give me your email address, and you'll get it in the morning at about 6 a.m. And you can read it, and you can hate it, or you can love it, or you can feel neutral about it, and whatever. But I guarantee you it'll be something that you're not hearing from anybody else, because every one of us are unique. You're unique. I'm unique. We're all unique. We all are made in God's image, and we're made to be special, meaning we're made to be different from everybody else. And that's good. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. Diversity is good, but not when it's politicized by communists. Diversity is a good thing when it's in real life, when it's real, and when it's linked back to the moral law, and when it's part of our humanity. So thanks for tuning in today. It's been great to have you with me. I'm going to be back in the morning at 5 a.m. Everything's archived at michaelheath.tv. I stream on YouTube and X, but who knows how long that's going to last, because I don't censor myself. In fact, I've been censoring myself during this show and most shows more than I want to, especially when it comes to discussing the whole gay world, because they have permission to use any word they want. But if I use the words they use, then YouTube cancels my channel, or X throttles my reach. So that it's just, we live in such an insane world, so unfair. There's no free speech. Not, anyway, don't get me going. Be back at 5 a.m. I hope some of you who get up early will join me. michaelheath.tv, X, or YouTube. And if anything I've said has been helpful, please share this with friends, family, or neighbors, and like or subscribe, I guess, on YouTube or X until they get rid of me, or go to michaelheath.tv. I'm still learning how that PeerTube application works, but I think you can like and stuff over there too. So all of that helps. God bless you. Let's close with praying the Our Father. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.